Top performers approach all of their goals in a very specific manner, and that is what enables them to achieve those goals. In this video, I want to share with you everything I've learned from surrounding myself with top performers for the past month and what I learned from this experience and how you can apply that to the search for a life partner, falling in love, bringing the right man into your life for a long-term serious relationship leading to marriage and family. In case you don't know me, my name is Malaika Neri. I'm a professional Indian matchmaker. I help you find the right person so that you can fall in love, have your happily ever after, and build a beautiful family, the kind of life that you want and deserve. This past month, I've been at a yoga camp in Mysore, which is a small city in the south of India, also called the international capital of yoga. I was studying with a renowned guru who I have met before. I've done a workshop with him when he came to Europe. And everyone in the group was, I don't even know the word for it. Like, I thought I was good at yoga because I've been practicing for the last 15 years. But all of these people were like human pretzels. I mean, they could just fold themselves in half backwards while standing upside down. I realized that I was way out of my league, and it gave me so much motivation and inspiration to get better at yoga, which is one of my goals, and to also get stronger and fitter and improve my health so that I can do the more advanced poses. It was also the first time since, I think, being at NYU where I was truly surrounded by top performers. Literally everyone in our class was incredibly strong, incredibly disciplined. Our classes started at 7 a.m. in the morning and finished at 6 o'clock in the evening, and almost everyone was there 20 minutes early. So, and they showed up every single day. We only had Sundays off. So that's 6 days a week doing 5 hours of very intense physical activity. And not a single person complained. I was like, wow, this is a whole new level. Plus, everyone was super nice, everyone was really friendly, and everyone was very ready to help me get better and answer my questions. So in this video, I want to share with you the 15 lessons that I have learned through this experience of being around top performers and what that has taught me that you can apply to your goal of finding the right person for a long-term serious relationship. Number one, don't think, just do. Our teacher would give us instructions like, okay, practice back bend, headstand. And while I was still breathing in and out and preparing my mind to do back bend headstand, all of the most advanced students were already doing the back bend headstand. That's when I realized I was wasting a lot of time thinking and preparing the mind when they were already using those precious seconds to get better at the pose through practicing it. Number two, don't stop at all. So if I ever ran out of breath, which was like every 5 minutes, I would take a break, lie down on my mat, do a baby pose, and catch my breath. All of the top students did not do this. They continued doing the pose. Sure, sometimes they took breaks, sometimes they laid down on their mat and took a few breaths, but it was never more than once or twice per hour. Through watching them, I realized that even a small break can kill your momentum, especially if you're already starting to feel tired. It also allows that chatter, that mental chatter in the back of our mind, which, as our teacher told us, he said in the Bhagavad Gita, it's called chitta. It's these thoughts that are constantly going nya, 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 in the back of your mind that distract you from being on the path to nirvana, the path to truly hearing the voice of God, according to the Bhagavad Gita, which we also studied. So as I watched these advanced practitioners, these top performers, I saw that they didn't stop until we were done. And when we were done, we were done. We could go home, have a shower, and rest. But they did not stop during the class. They didn't stop to take a breath. We weren't allowed to stop to drink water. But anyway, they didn't even bring water with them, and they didn't stop to catch their breath or prepare the mind. They just were always executing in the position. Number three, get around people who are way, way better than you because they will inspire you more than any motivational video. So when I am trying to achieve a new goal, I play motivational videos that I find on YouTube nonstop to get myself in the mindset to achieve that goal. But I realized that top performers actually use a very different shortcut. They simply surround themselves with people who are ahead of them. So as I mentioned in our class, there were several human pretzels, and they were constantly surrounding themselves with other people like them. So although this is the first time in my life that I'm doing this kind of yoga, month-long yoga camp, and I don't know if I will do one like this again. Many of the students in our class were here doing a very similar training 6 months ago, and they've already planned to come back 6 months from now from wherever they live in the world, which is at least an 8-hour flight away from the south of India. So I realized that they would do whatever it takes to get around high quality instructors and people who were more advanced than them, because that is what will help them progress, even though they are already top performers. Number 4, hard work shows. Everyone in the class, almost everyone, had visible abs. Now, abs are in large part diet, but also exercise and what kind of workouts you're doing. So most people in the class had visible abs. I was like, wow. Number 5, wear appropriate clothing. So you don't need any specific clothing to do yoga. When I was a kid in my school in Mumbai, our yoga teachers wore saris, and that was fine. A lot of people come to yoga class wearing baggy t-shirts and gym shorts. That's totally fine too. But I noticed one consistent quality among all of the top performers in our class. They had appropriate clothing. So because we're in India, it's a conservative country, I couldn't wear a sports bra. They told us we had to wear t-shirts, which I hate wearing. It's like sweaty. But we all wore t-shirts, and my t-shirt, especially when I was doing downward dog, kept getting in my face, and then I would feel like I was suffocating. The best students in the class, the female students, they had these tight-fitting t-shirts that didn't move. So although they were conservative, they covered the upper half of their bodies. They didn't move, unlike my t-shirt. The guys, instead of wearing baggy basketball shorts, had invested in high-quality yoga shorts that were snug to the body. They still allowed them a wide range of movements, but they were snug so that they didn't get in the way when they were trying to do deep poses. So I realized that a huge part of them being able to get quickly into the posture was having high quality, appropriate clothing for the specific activity at which they were trying to get better at. Everything feels easier when your clothing fits you right. Number 6, it's okay to sweat. I have been living for so many years, the last 20 years, in cold countries where we do not sweat. Like even on a warm day in summer, we don't sweat. So being in India, doing yoga, sweating nonstop, even when you're not doing anything, was really, really hard for me. And at times I would do less, meaning put less effort into the specific yoga pose to sweat less, because I was so fed up of sweating. But watching these top performers, I realized sweat was a non-issue. I was one of the only students who even brought a towel to class, and I was constantly wiping my face because I couldn't stand sweating. They would totally won with their sweat. I don't think I saw any of them wiping their faces, because that would take precious time, precious seconds and energy away from the main goal, which was to get better at the poses. See, point number 1, don't think, just do. Number 7, repetition is king. So it's very easy to look at these advanced students and think, wow, they're just naturally flexible. But the more that I watch them, we spent 1 full month together, the more that I realized that they just repeated the poses again and again and again. And when we exchanged contact info, we exchanged our Instagrams, I saw so many photos of them doing many of the poses that we'd done in class at home, in their bedrooms, in their own yoga studios, wherever they live. Even outdoors. They were constantly practicing these poses until they became something that you don't even have to think about. And then they would still practice them. So take, for example, the splits. Advanced position, something that I find very challenging. These students still practice them. Whenever the teacher gave us a pose, no matter what, they just did it, even if they had already done it 150,000 times before, because repetition is king, and all top performers know that. Number 8, you need someone who is not afraid to push you, literally. So I have found trying yoga classes all over the world in so many different places that a lot of teachers won't push you, or they'll say verbally, hey, you can go further, but then they won't help you get there. Something wonderful about studying yoga in India is that the teachers are usually completely comfortable with pushing us. I think it's part of Indian pedagogy, which is like, go hard, no pity. But our teacher, especially, he was like, come on, you could do it. And then he would stand on top of you and push your limb into the position until you achieve the pose. And this was all with your permission. And, he was extremely sensitive to how much you could do on that day. He never pushed us to discomfort or to injury. But I noticed watching the best students in our class that they never whimpered, they never complained, they never uttered one word when he offered to help them go deeper into the position. In fact, they wanted him to do it again, even though it was sometimes painful and in all cases very uncomfortable because they were learning something new. Number 9, a high heart rate does not mean danger. So when our heart beats really fast, it's pumping, you feel blood pumping to all different zones of your body, you start to get into fight or flight mode, it feels urgent. Our body has developed these mechanisms because back in the day, wild woolly mammoths roamed the woods and we had no protection from wild animals and danger. Our ancestors slept outside. They had these like flimsy walls. They had no protection. And especially us as women, we were physically weaker than the men who were supposed to protect us. So we had no protection either from other people or from the elements. A high heart rate indicated to our bodies that it was a dangerous situation. Doing yoga, I found that my heart rate very often went up. I used my watch to track it, and I saw that my heart rate was sometimes going as high as 150, 170, 180. Watching these top performers, it was very easy to think when I could hear my heart thumping and blood flowing through all organs of my body, thinking, oh my gosh, this is dangerous, I should stop. But I watched these top performers, most likely having their heart rate going just as high as mine, if not higher, and they were in exactly the same rhythm. They were calm, they were composed, they were incredibly focused, and that is what enabled them to deepen their practice. I realized through watching them that having a high heart rate is not dangerous in our modern, extremely safe and comfortable lives. Having a high heart rate is a really good thing. It means that you're trying, you're pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, and you should keep going. Number 10, show up early. This prepares the mind so that you're ready before it's time to start. As I said, we started our classes at 7 a.m. in the morning. That is not that early in India. Some yoga schools start at 4 a.m., so it was relatively late, but it still was early. Most of the students were there 20 minutes before, and they were ready and sitting cross-legged when the teacher showed up. So the teacher showed up exactly bang at 7 a.m., and then we start singing our prayers in Sanskrit and start the practice. They were completely ready. They were hydrated. Their minds were ready. Their bodies were ready. They were ready to go. And though we were told, hey, show up 5 minutes early, the first day I showed up 5 minutes early, the room was full. I couldn't even find a spot to put my mat. So from that point onwards, I started showing up 20 to 25 minutes early every single time. And it enabled me to settle my mind into that physical location and also prepare my mind for our 90-minute practice. So that by the time it was 7 a.m. and the teacher was calling for our prayers to begin, I was 100% ready. I wasn't organizing myself, pulling up my yoga pants or thinking, oh, did I forget my water bottle at home? I was 100% settled in and ready to go. So that when a couple of students did show up either 5 minutes early or 5 minutes late, I was like, you should have been here 20 minutes ago, like the top performers. Number 11, don't complain, just do. No one cares. These top performers never complained. And I mean, never. They went through pain when some of the positions were challenging. Some of them had pulled muscles when they did too much, and they had conversations with the teacher about it. They said, hey, I've got my a muscle in my back that doesn't feel so good today. But I never heard them complaining, saying, oh, this hurts. Oh, I don't feel good. Oh, or whining or grunting. I never heard them complain. And I realized that they had integrated this mindset of don't complain, just do. So they would either do the pose or they would speak with the teacher about their injured muscle, and the teacher would give them an alternative pose that would be gentler on that injured muscle. But they never complained. And through removing that energy of complaining, which ultimately distracts us, they were able to focus on what they could do, which would again enable them to deepen their yoga practice. Number 13, keep your drishti, which is your vision point in yoga, constant. Now, this is not so much about the top performers, but a general tenet of yoga, which is to always keep your drishti. So our teacher, he would walk around the room and look at us and say, keep your drishti straight. So drishti means your vision point in every yoga pose. You are supposed to look at one specific point on the floor. And while you're doing that pose, your vision point never changes. This is what enables you to have stability and confidence in the posture. I've found through working with so many different women over the past 5 years that the number one obstacle to them finding a serious long-term relationship and the right partner with whom to build a family is distraction. They are focused on 20 different vision points or other goals of events happening in their life. One student would say, oh, my friend called me. Oh, my mother called me. Oh, I had to stay late at work. Oh, this happened. Oh, that happened. Oh, I missed the train. There were so many distractions. And I myself dealt with this in my own life. I was constantly running after trying to make my friends happy, trying to make my family happy, trying to get my work done, trying to stay healthy, cook, this and that. It was so distracting. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned from this past month watching these top performers is that their vision point literally never varied from their mats. I would sometimes twist and look at some of the advanced students and think, oh, wow, cool, like she's doing this pose. But they were never looking at me. They were 100% focused on their own mats, which is to say, keep your drishti, your vision point, constant. Focus on your own goal. You have one goal, which is to find the right guy for you. That is it. Do not look left and right. Focus on that one goal until it is done. And then you can pick another one goal for you to accomplish to become future you. Until you have found this person, no looking left and right. You are only focused on that one goal. Number 14, environment is more important than location. So we are in Mysore, a small city in the south of India. Mysore is now becoming one of these Indian tech capitals because Infosys has built their offices here. And so it's starting to have a lot of engineers, but it is on the whole a slow, quiet, low-key city. And I noticed, I've been to Mysore so many times, but now that I've spent so much time in the city, I noticed that a lot of people in the city just take shortcuts. You see it everywhere. People will, like if they're painting something, they'll not use painter's tape. If they're putting tiles, the tiles will be misaligned. The buildings are not built to fire safety standards. The doors are hung crooked. The latches on the door are not aligned. The locks and the bolts on the doors are hung crooked. They're just shortcuts taken everywhere. There are good sides of these shortcuts. Every vendor that I've bought from, if I haven't had money or my phone payment hasn't worked, they say, don't worry, come back tomorrow, bring me the money tomorrow. Absolutely no problem. So there is that accommodating attitude. But on the whole, it's a city where people are constantly taking shortcuts. I thought this would negatively impact me, but being in this room where we practice our yoga shala, with these top performers who flew in from all over the world to be here, I forgot Mysore, I forgot India, I forgot everything. I just was focused on my mat and being this environment of top performers. Our teacher constantly reminding us, don't take shortcuts, do the pose. If you can't do the pose, go one step lower. Here are versions A, B, and C based on what you can do, but no shortcuts allowed. Our environment in this room where we practiced our yoga was dramatically more important than the location, which is a city where it's okay to take shortcuts and it's often even encouraged. Which is to say that it doesn't matter where you live. You can be great anyway. You can have a great marriage anyway, even if no one around you has a great marriage, even if no one around you is happily married, even if you don't know a single person who has ever fallen in love, you can create that environment starting with you so that you can attract this wonderful, amazing romantic relationship into your life. And number 15 is that it's always worth it to try. I didn't know before coming to Mysore whether it would be worth it or not. I had studied with this teacher before. He's wonderful, but I didn't really know if it would be fun. This teacher only accepts students who are willing to stay for 1 full month. You can't do anything less. And because I was spending more than a month this year in India, I thought, let me give it a try. But I didn't know if it would be great. What I learned being in this environment of top performers is that as long as you're around top performers, it is worth it to give it a shot. So even if you're thinking, maybe you're thinking of working with a matchmaker, maybe you're thinking of downloading a dating app, maybe you're thinking of going to an event where you have a possibility of meeting potential partners, as long as you're in an environment surrounded by other top performers, other high achieving, ambitious professionals just like you, it will be worth it to try. So if you're working with a matchmaker, look for a matchmaker who can introduce you to high achieving, ambitious professionals exclusively. If you're going to an event to try and meet someone organically, look for events that exclusively target high achieving, ambitious professionals who live in your city. And if you're using a dating app, consider paying for a premium subscription on an app like Raya, which requires an application to join and is very premium. It attracts a ultra premium crowd. I think you need to have some followers, some level of followers to be on it, something like that. So there are dating apps that cater to high achieving professionals, and you might consider joining one of those rather than just going for the regular Tinder, Bumble, Hinge. I hope these lessons have been helpful to you as you're on your dating journey. All of these lessons have been so enlightening for me. I wanted to share them with you. And I also wanted to make this video as a reminder to myself if I ever get lazy on achieving my goals. Finding a life partner is a goal, just like any other. And every single woman I know who's gotten married has treated it like a goal. So as having watched so many top performers achieve this goal, I want to invite you to do the same. Treat it like a goal, set a timeline for accomplishing these goals, and use the 15 principles shared in this video to make sure that you achieve your goal this year, come what may. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.